time being 5 p.m. December 11, 2018. I'd like to call the Board of Selectmen meeting to order. The agenda this evening is, it is 5 p.m. I did say 5. The agenda being a couple items here. 5 p.m. called to order. 5 p.m. joint meeting with the Police Subcommittee. Board of Selectmen approved minutes for the meeting of December 3rd, 2018. Discuss vote to award a police station construction project to H.V. Collins Company. Endorse notice of award to H.V. Collins Company and take action agreement with H.V. Collins Company for construction services of the new Freetown police station. Did the board have a chance to review the December 3rd minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the minutes as written. Any discussion on the matter? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And at this time, the Board of Selectmen will recess to the chairman of the police subcommittee, and then we will reconvene the Board of Selectmen after the police subcommittee meeting.
All right, I'll open up the December 11, 2018 Police Station Subcommittee and call that to order. First and foremost, I just want to thank everybody here at the table for their hard work and due diligence to see this project through. I know it's been two years of a lot of hard work, but I don't want you to be fooled. The hard work has actually just begun. So we are going to need to stay focused and stay on top of things with change orders, with the construction process. Just because we have this passed and we're ready to break ground, there's a lot more work that has to be done, and we need everybody's participation as we move forward. But Andy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And Taylor, you
Thank
too.
you.
We really couldn't have done it without you. The police association, getting the facts out there made a huge difference, and the signs. I just want to thank all of you.
And the mailing was good too.
Yeah, everything was good, and
That's a good one.
That was huge.
it felt good. I was nervous, but it felt good at the end of the day. So anyway, thank you. With that being said, I think that we all need to see what the next steps are, how that's all going to work, and we can't do anything without a construction company. So I'm going to turn it over to Taylor and Andy right now to talk about that.
Yeah, so since it was last Saturday, I've been in contact with the contractor, and he's now sent me over a copy of all their bonds, insurances, W-9, any forms that the town needs to have. So I have a package for you, Dave, to give to you after tonight. But what I think we should do is do a formal vote to award, and then I can work with Dave's office to get out an actual notice to proceed, really. So notice of award and notice to proceed once we go through their insurances and they're accepted by the town at this point to move forward. So
Can you just talk a little bit about the about Collins and what their price bid came in? I think some of us that have been in through the email system, but a lot of people don't know exactly what's going on.
So their bid that's going to be awarded is $9,988,000, and that does not include alternates number 1 and 2. So we're moving forward with just the base bid. That's the base bid that we showed in all of our budget numbers that we ran through town meetings, so on and so forth. If we did include that alternate 1 and 2, it would have taken out of our contingency. Both of those things are items we feel we can always add back in at the end of the project if we have some more funds. Alternate number 1 was a cruiser port, so we have the provisions there to do it. Any conduit or structure, so we can add that back in later in date if we feel like we need to. And then 2 was planting materials, so it's basically just loam and seed right now. So we need to add in any landscaping. We'll do that at the time when that comes. So we would like to accept that bid. We've gone through and done a DCAM review of Collins. We've done some background checks and talked to other people that have worked with them, and no red flags. So for all intents and purposes, we're ready to move forward with them.
Do you have a motion? Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
Taylor,
Yeah.
on the cruiser port,
Yes.
that's alternate number 1.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a vehicle where we can get the piers poured also, that would go under the paving around the concrete?
Yeah, we should look into getting a number on that change order wise, and if we want to put that in
that, so that, I'm sure it'll be done down the road, and hopefully if we don't use any contingency,
Yeah.
we'll do, you know, so at least do that.
Yeah, well, I think we should get a number on that early so that we don't have to dig up the pavement at a later date. I know what you're saying.
And then run the sprinkler line to where it stops, right?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so that's something we can definitely talk about.
So we wanna really just make sure that whatever, as we're going through this process, that we don't let our needs and our wants get mixed up, that we really wanna make sure that we just stay with what our needs are, and then when we can afford the wants, then we go for the wants. And the less we use our contingency, the more we can add in the cruiser port, because I know how important it is. So we just have to keep that in mind as we move forward, like, all of a sudden you might say, oh yeah, it would be really nice if we could have like this in this area, you know what I mean? But we have to really make sure that, you balance that up, according to what your needs and wants are. So it's, you know, it sounds all well and good at that point, but then when you get to the end of the project and you've eaten up your contingency, you don't have any money ready for the cruiser port. The planting materials, you know, we can work maybe with the town on that,
That's what we typically see.
with the highway department and things like that, so we'll look at that from, you know, a select board point of view. But the, cruiser port, I know how important that is, so the less we use our contingency, the better off we are in the
Yeah.
end.
I think that's a good point, is to highlight that no plans and specs are perfect. There will be changes, there will be things that were missed or might have been overlooked, but that doesn't mean we can't make up savings in other areas. So there will be change orders. I don't wanna sit here and tell you that there won't be. It's a construction project, and every single one is different. Even though CGA has built, you know, a multitude of buildings, every building is not the same. So each one is a prototype, and when you build something new every time, and different contractors, things come up. So the contingency there is there to cover us in the event that those things do come up. It's not a pot to look into what can we add now and what can we upgrade this, and you know, we might find little upgrades here and there, but it's really to protect us in case, you know, we find something unforeseen. It could have to do with the site when we're digging out there, but it's there for our protection and the project's protection. Our goal is to definitely turn over as much of that as possible. In Brewster, we just gave back $500,000 of the contingency. So that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at the contingency as a slush fund. It's there, you know, to keep the project moving and make sure that the issues are covered if any do come up. So just so everybody's aware, because you know we will see some change orders.
Questions, concerns?
In terms of meetings, we're gonna start to establish project meetings. I've already spoken with the contractor. I don't have a date that you'd like to do that. Days in the week is what I should say. Typically, we might meet, you know, every Wednesday, every 2 weeks with a project team. And that would be myself, the architect, the contractor, and then it's typically the police chief and a couple people from the committee, or the fire, or the police department. It's not the whole committee, it's not a posted meeting, it's a job meeting. We sit there and we go over the construction of the project, and then we meet back with this committee on a monthly basis as an update. We don't have to kind of pick that team right now, but maybe you guys can think about that, who you'd like to be part of that. It's usually 3 or 4 people, if that, that meet with us and are there and attend our meetings, and are part of that. Coupled with that is sometimes we need to make decisions on the fly, and we'd like to have a point person to go to. We call it a prime point of contact that can make those decisions if we can't get in touch with the whole committee, or even there's a dollar value of a change order that the smaller group can make the decision to move forward on. Say it's 20 grand, they can approve anything up to 20 grand, but anything over that has to come to the full committee. So that's another thing you might want to think about. We're going to have a little time. The contractor isn't planning on starting his work until after the first of the year. The contract portion will take some time, but he wants to get out there and start clearing the site after the first. So the plan before that is to have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor. And anybody here can attend that they'd like to, but that's to go over the ground rules of the project. It's usually run by the architect. You know, here's what our work hours are, here's how change orders are going to work, here's how requests for information are going to work, any questions, that sort of thing. You go over that early. How are they going to stage the project? How are they going to set up on site there? They have to give us a plan on how they want to, you know, manipulate the site with their trailers, so on and so forth. So That meeting I'll be working to set up with the contractor once we give them the notice to proceed and all the paperwork is in place. So we'll be looking to see if we can make that happen between now and New Year's, if possible. So that's really the next step. Then from there, we get the contractor's schedule. They'll provide a opening schedule at that point. He'll probably use all 15 months and give us that schedule. He's looking to get out of there before that, and we're gonna try to keep that moving as quickly as we can. He owes us a schedule update with every requisition that they put in, so we'll be, getting that monthly, and then he owes us a 2 or 3 week look ahead every time we meet with that smaller committee, so we'll always be constantly looking at the schedule, and, Andy and I know what to look forward to if they're on or off that, but, so those are the kind of the sort of things that are gonna be happening, as we move forward here. A lot will be happening, but I will do my best to kind of keep everybody abreast of what's going on. Like I said, that's why it's nice to have that smaller committee, and then we bring everything back to that larger committee at that point. Any questions on process?
One question, not necessarily in that, but where are you with, I know you've been to conservation, I believe. What about planning?
Yeah, do you have an update on that?
Yeah, two things. One
Zoning
is,
also.
we need to get the well going as soon as possible. So, we need clearing for that. So the first is great, and they should focus on getting a well driller access. In the meantime, we need to sign one up. So that's the first thing we have to do, is get a well guy on board, and prove that we have potable water on the site. That's gonna be the first thing that, I'm gonna focus on. And the second thing is, Collins should get his building app in as soon as possible, because that's what triggers site plan review.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we have to do, that's our final step for the permit, before it just issues, before it goes to the building official for a permit, is we've got to trigger site plan review. So as soon as Collins can get his application to the town, that will trigger that, and we can get that going.
All right, I'll push him on that.
So that and the well, get the building permit application filed, and we need to get the well going.
And then Concom, there was no issues.
That's all set, oh, I recorded that.
Yeah.
That's all recorded. I have the scanned receipt, didn't bring it with me, of course, but I'll drop it off at the town hall. You're gonna get the original back in the mail. So, that'll come in the mail, I have the receipt, that was good, I filed it on Friday, I believe. That's all done on Friday, no problem.
To Chief's point, though, zoning determination, MLC loan, obviously it's town loans, there's no MLC, but that goes before project application, building application normally, right?
It goes to all the departments, but we're not asking for anything that's not a matter of right. So,
Well, you'd be asking for a variance on the tower, right?
yeah, that's a good point. I never checked the bylaws for the tower.
Anything over 100. We had to do it for this tower when we
Yeah.
went up for 10 or 20 feet.
So we'll need to get in front of them.
Well, we have time on the tower, obviously,
Yeah.
but let's push that.
The big thing is get the site plan review. In this
Right.
town, it's triggered by the building permit
And
application.
they meet twice a month.
And we gotta get the well going.
I'll push Collins on getting everything. He's ready to submit everything, he just wanted to make sure that the town doesn't have any issues with the bonds and insurances.
Yeah, I'm sure he's waiting for us to sign off on this before he does anything.
Yeah, he wants a final notice to proceed, so.
March comes quick.
Yeah, 'cause-
So the contractor will take the building permit out?
Yes,
Is there a building permit fee, or is that waived, or how does that work?
they were all waived. Yeah, that was in the specifications. Yeah.
You're gonna charge us.
Yeah, China's,
Well, yeah.
Some towns do, believe it or
Oh
not.
my God.
And it's a mess, so it's much better that we didn't do it here.
That costs close to $100,000.
All right. Anything else? Yeah. Nothing?
You wanna
Captain?
take a?
You have a puzzled look on your
No,
face.
no question.
Well,
Do you wanna take a vote on the award to Collins?
Are they going to recommend
yeah, we have
to
to
the
vote to
board, and then
recommend
the
to.
board will make the final vote to
Do you have a, motion to vote to recommend to the Board of Selectmen?
I'll make the motion.
In a second, all right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
They wanna go over each one of these?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, I do have two, contract amendments that I wanna ratify. The first is an amendment that we got in touch with Lisa back in August, when, the contract, our first contract that we had put in front of the town was based on, really a design period of 12 months and a construction period of 12 months. It was the exact same deal that we had given Lakeville at the time. 2 years later, we obviously were well beyond that, and also the construction period bumped up. So before the project went out to the town, I recommended an amended fee. It's an additional $101,900, which puts us at a fee percentage of 4%. Typically, our fees run from anywhere from 4 to 6%, so we were still trying to keep it as low as possible for the town. So that number was carried in the number that went to town meeting. I had that in there as an amendment to our contract. The only thing that we needed to do was vote on it at this committee. I ran it through Lisa and through Dave prior to that.
Because if if this didn't go forward, then there would be no reason to pay them, but now that since it's gone forward and we're over what we had agreed to begin with, that's where we're at. It almost worked the same way that we did with CGA, so.
So what's the amendment, particular period of time, or to,
The amendment is the additional cost for the additional period of time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from
so
now until the end of construction.
really design,
construction?
yeah, so construction, we carried 12 months. We're actually carrying in our first proposal, because it was based on a smaller building. Really, that's how we base our proposals, is based on the size of the construction. Here, it nearly doubled, and we're looking at a 15-month duration. So, if you think about it, we really have a guy additionally out there for 3 or 4 months that we didn't have in the first part of the proposal. So that's what it covers, and the additional time of design that we spent.
So this was already in the 12, so there's no.
Yeah, this isn't
it's not
this
out of
is an additional
contingency.
2. This is already in that number that was approved at town meeting.
And had we have not gone to get the project approved, then we didn't owe him anything. So, do you have that? Is this the only copy?
This another copy here.
All right, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the increase of $101,900,000 from now until the end of construction.
Make that motion.
Do you have a second? All in favor?
Thank you. And at the same time, we had asked CGA if they had any costs, and they did not. In the past few days, though, some of CGA's consultants have come to the forefront and said we do have some additional costs here. So these numbers were not carried in the numbers that we brought to town meeting. We just learned about this a few days ago. But we have found a way to kind of work around that. So for the additional CA time, which is construction administration time that CGA will be spending on the site, they're asking for an additional $46,500. Now, in our budget, we had a number of allowances that CGA had carried in their original contract that we may or may not use. One of them that we had in here was an A&E reimbursable of 20 grand, which we did not use any of that number. CGA is recommending to put that towards the additional 46,000 that they're asking for. As well as there's 20 grand in printing costs that we did not use during the first part of design. So there's a total of 40 grand of allowance money that we had in the budget, but now is going to be put towards their contract. So it really covers everything except for the additional 6 grand of that 46. So overall, we're asking for another, or CJ is asking for another 6 grand that would come out of the contingency in this case as part of their contract.
What are we carrying contingency number to start with?
Right now, a little bit over 950,000. Did I explain that
Yeah.
correctly?
That put our total fee at 6.25% total.
Rick and I reviewed that, and we felt that to be right in line with, you know, where it should be. We felt it was low. To begin with, so that definitely puts it right in line.
So as we move forward, I would ask that all change orders be, in paper form, so then everybody can have a take a look at it and know exactly what we're voting on. Not that I don't trust you guys, but I think that we need to keep a paper trail of what we're doing, so I just wanna make sure that that's all done.
I agree, and
Okay,
we would have had one, I just got this notification from CGA yesterday, so, I just wanted to throw it out on the table so people are aware of it, and we can follow up with the paperwork.
And if we could have a running cost, the contingency that it comes down, or a breakdown like you just did of where the money's coming from.
Yeah, so I didn't go over, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No,
So each month, you're gonna get a budget that goes month to month, as well as an overall what you've spent to date on every single,
no,
item.
I mean change orders though.
Yep.
So when the change order
Yeah.
comes in, we know, example, we 950 plus and then 948,
Yep.
940.
Correct.
So we know where our contingency is.
Yep, you'll always have that from me.
Paul?
Yeah, is there any possibility that CGA will ask for additional money during the project? No?
No,
Okay.
we had two fees, one for design through bidding and town meeting, and one for CA. Even though our scope changed, we held it through design and bidding. But, and we're holding our number through CA, but our consultants said the scope changed, and
This should be the end of it.
that's it.
I'll make the motion that we take out the $6,000 from the contingency fund.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
That was everything I had. I'll let everybody know when our pre-construction meeting's set up for. If you'd like to attend, you can.
All right. Anything else? Andy?
Well,
Not that well.
I hear you.
Like yesterday, right?
I'll get back to Collins tomorrow, and, David, I'll send over to your office the form letters. I think I already sent you the notice of award. I'll send you the form letter for notice to proceed. And then, once, you know, the town is comfortable with all the paperwork side, we can send out the notice to proceed.
All right, anything else?
do we need a permit to drill the well? Or do we just go in there and drill the well? You have to have a building permit first?
Probably need
Well
a-
permit.
You can
Just
get a
a
well
well
permit.
Yeah.
Well permit.
All right.
You can't get a building permit until you have a well.
That shouldn't be any issue.
Yeah, typically you have to prove potable water to get a building permit, right?
Clearing, you know, are we scheduled for clearing, or is highway helping with clearing, how's that going?
No.
Contractor owns everything.
Contracts for it.
Yeah, so he might, who knows, he might file for a, foundation permit for his building permit. I don't know, does he have to file the building permit to kick in plan review?
Yes, that's what kicks in clearing, and, since Concom already reviewed it, I don't think clearing should be an issue,
Yeah, no, it should.
because you really only need a permit to clear for the well.
We'll confirm that.
You want to clear for the wells, if that's the same problem.
On the ground still swell. Why don't you give us an update tomorrow after reaching out to Collins and letting them know that everything's all set, and get an update, and then we can send out a blank email to everybody and let them know exactly when they pull the building and
Yeah.
everything.
I'll find out when they're planning to do that.
Anything else? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
I'll call the Freetown Board of Selectmen meeting back to order. We have a recommendation in front of us from the police subcommittee. Can we get a recommendation? Can you write down?
What?
Recommendation from the subcommittee.
Oh, we recommend going with Collins Construction in the amount of
So the recommendation to go ahead with the, EP Collins, $9,988,000. I have a motion.
Make that motion.
I'll second the motion. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anything else? Hearing none, all in favor?